preach another sermon. Where were the people he had done so much for? What happened to the woman who had touched the hem of his garment? What happened to blind Bartimaeus who got that chemical solution and his eyes came open? You got to wonder sometimes where folk are when you need them, especially those that you do so much for them. I went to a nursing home to visit this week, Mother Yuchi and others in the nursing home, and it was nice to get to Mother Yuchi and at least see that the family had put some flowers or something there. There was evidence that somebody cares about her. And then I went by another room and there was evidence that somebody cared. One lady was laying up there. She was just about comatose, but all the flowers and cards. And then I saw people who didn't have any sign that anybody had visited them at all, or that anybody cares about them. And I always talk to the workers and all when I go in those homes, and I ask about the visitations of the people. And I'm not talking about deacons and trustees and preachers and all. We know our assignment. I'm talking about members of the family, people who benefited from them. Put them away like that and don't even think about them at all. Some of them waiting to collect the inheritance, I hate to say it. Some are waiting to put their own in the ground. This is a sad situation. If somebody's been nice to you, you should at least say, I thank you. If you can't say, I thank you, don't you think we owe the Lord some praises? Don't you think we owe the Lord some praises? He didn't have to wake you up this morning. He didn't have to start you on your way. He didn't have to be your personal physician. When doctors are baffled, he's by your side, always walking, but they had deserted. And all of this compounded into one thing, that Jesus came to make a sacrifice. But he is now getting ready to ascend to his Father. Out at the boundary line of Bethany, he says, he lifts up his hands and giving the indication, the symbol, that you will always be in my hand. So I thought I'd close this morning and come this morning before Christmas in preparation to tell you it's mighty nice to know that you're always in his hand. I thought I'd tell the lonely who feel deserted sometimes that you're always in his hand. I thought I'd tell the prison-bound young man that I talked to more than one, 3 or 4 in prison during the week and everything. Most of the time from my home, I'm talking to them, and I can't, when they come on the phone and say, will you accept the call? I said, put them through, because I know that people in trouble need somebody. And I said to a young man in prison, you're always in his hands. Remember, God knows us better than we know ourselves. He knows our intention. It's mighty nice to know that you can't get out of the hands of Jesus, because he really will not let you go. He'll hold on to you and never let you go. I close now. Where Deacon Williams heard your story. I had many dogs in my life. I had one called St. Bernard called Boots, the one you know called Banjo. I had 2 terriers that we had in the yard. I had a first dog that I called, I forgot what I called her now. What's that lady's name that was on the honeymooners? I used to Trixie. I used to call that little dog Trixie, but I had many dogs. But the strangest and the one that had the most personality was the smallest dog I ever had. A dog called Lucky. I had a dog called Lucky. And Lucky gave me a little more trouble than those great big dogs, because that dog seemed to have a mind of his own. And I used to go out to Central Park and walk in, and Lucky be jumping around, just jumping around. I tried to let him go. Until I let him go, he'd run somewhere and had to go looking for him. I hollered Lucky more than I did Boots or Banjo or King or any other dogs. That dog would wear me out. But I finally got the smallest dog I ever had to. And finally I got a hold of Lucky jumping around her. And I said, listen, I'm going to, he and I had a little talk. I said, Lucky, I'm putting you on this leash and I'm going to hold you. When you get to Central Park, you're going to see dogs moving around, but I'm not going to let you go because you don't know how to stay where you ought to stay. I said, he look up at me and say, I'll be all right. I said, oh no, I've been fooled by that look before. You're not going to do that to me. So I was walking Lucky. And one day while we were out there in the park, I decided that I'd give Lucky a little freedom. I broke down because I have a weakness for children and dogs, as you see. I broke down and I let him go. And there go Lucky. And another dog followed him after a while. He met his match and he jumped into the pond they had there. When Lucky jumped in the pond, I went there and looked at it and said, I ought to let you stay there in that pond. But I got him out of the pond there, all wet. He looked all around. He was scared to death. And I put him back on the leash there. When I put him on the leash there and began to walk him there, I didn't feel, Mother Hillary, that tug anymore. I didn't feel him trying to get away. In fact, when I took the leash off, he wrapped himself around my leg. I said, you got scared now. You're going to stay where you are. And then I began to think about my Lord. That's the way my Lord holds us. First, he gives us a lot of slack. And then we start off and do anything we feel like doing. I did not tell God what we want. And every time he gives us a little room, we get all out of the line. We come to church and pray, and get outside and tell somebody off. We come to church and shout, and then get a choir meeting and cut up. We come to church and do the water, and then get outside and cut up. Because we got all that slack. But when you've been through something, when you've had some ups and downs, when you've had some trials and tribulations, when you had somebody to knock you down, scandalize your name, or when you got in trouble, the next time he holds you, there's no slack there. You find yourself saying, Lord, I'll stay in your hand. My Savior, you are my rock in a weary land, and I'm so glad I'm in the hands of Jesus. How about you? Are you in his hands? Will he take care of you? Will he be your way maker? Will he be your burden bearer? Aren't you so glad that you're in his hands? When the king moved blood, you stayed in his hand. When the world tried to pull you out, you stayed in his hand. And I made up my mind. I'm going to stay in the hands of Jesus. And after a while, and by, when the death angel comes, I won't have to worry about him. I'm in the hands of Jesus. The uplifting hands. Stand on your feet. In the uplifting. He's got a firm grip on me. He holds me. And now I know that if I break away, where am I going to go? If I move away from him, where am I going to go? I've got to stay in the hands of Jesus. One more, it's not going to be long. You heard me tell this one. A druggist who knew nothing about Jesus kept his drugstore open all hours, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and never went to the little church down the street. Well, they had revival in the little church down the street. And the preacher came down and said to the druggist, why don't you close up early and come to church? Well, Reverend, I don't know, the bills are high, and I just can't do it, Reverend. After the Reverend left, deacon came in and said, come on down to church tonight. Druggist said, ain't got time. I ain't got time tonight, Brother Deacon. He said, we'll pray for you. All right, do what you want to do. But I can't go to church. Family tried to get in, nobody could get him to go to church. Stayed in his drugstore, worked hard, but didn't think he needed to be where most of us find our comfort, in the hands of Jesus. And then one day, when business was slow, a little girl came by and said to him, why don't you come to church? Well, he broke down, locked up his drugstore, and went to church. And the preacher happened to be preaching. And a song was sung. He got the whole world in his hands. He's got you and me in his hands. Druggist stood there, shook his head. And as they continued to sing and the preacher preached, service was over, he went back to the drugstore. But he couldn't get that tune. He's got the whole world in his hands, out of his mind. But he went on, getting ready to close up his drugstore, see anything else to do. The young man walked in and said, I'm glad I found you open. You heard me tell this before. I'm glad you found me open. Because mother ran out of her medicine. And she's having one of her spells. And that's what they used to call them. They didn't know what was wrong with us. Having one of her spells. And the druggist went back and said, oh, it's no problem now. I'll get the medicine for you. So I keep it right up here. When he reached up to get it though, he dropped his glasses. And his glasses broke, and by accident he stepped on them and they shattered more. and he couldn't see. So he felt around and grabbed the bottle he thought was the medicine and made the prescription and gave it to him. The young boy said, "Oh, thank you, because this is a bad spell she got." And ran off. When the boy ran off there, druggie said, "Well, I'll close up." He said, "But first I better find my spare glasses." Went in and found the spare glasses, put them on, and lo and behold, the bottle he thought was gone that he had taken down was still sitting there. And a bottle of poison, deadly poison, he had opened and given it to the woman. He ran to the door, but the boy was gone. Got on the phone, but he didn't have the number. Ran down back to the church, see if somebody could help him, but they were all gone. He was all by himself. He went back and said, "I'm doomed." He looked at his license on the wall and said, "I'm through as a pharmacist. I made my life. My eyes have failed me. I gave that woman deadly poison, and I don't know how to stop her." And then the song came up. He's got the whole world in his hands. You remember that preacher putting a finger in his face, says he's got you and me in his hands. He got down on his knees and said, "Lord, if that's true, take me in your hands right now. Because if that woman takes that medicine, she'll die. Lord, if it's true, either take her in your hands or take me in your hands at this time." Got up off his knees, crying, didn't know what to do. And about that time, the boy bust back in the store, running and breathing. So, "Oh, I'm glad I found you. What's the matter?" I said, "In my haste to get home, I tripped and broke the medicine." He's got the whole world. Aren't you glad you're in his hands? Aren't you glad? When that bill must get paid and you have no money, if you're in his hands, he'll make a way for you. Hallelujah! He'll make a way for you. Doors of the church open. Could be somebody outside of the uplifting hands of Jesus. Why not come? He led them out to Bethany, lifted up his hands, and blessed them. Somebody needs to be in his hands right now. The doors of the church open. You may come by letter as a county baptism from your Christian experience. May God help you come while the choir sings.